You are now listening to Talking Transparency, the podcast where transparents talk transparently. Hosted by Thea Ross, Melissa Luxon, and Cody Connor.
Oh, that's, oh my gosh, producer Athena, hi, welcome back. I am Melissa.
I'm Thea.
And I'm Cody.
And we have Selena here today as our guest. And yes, that is lovely Selena sitting on the couch with the silly goose. And Selena is a woman of all the things. I have been fortunate enough to meet her and she's new to me in the sense of I've only known her for about a month and a half. It's 2 months. And but we bonded very quickly because for 6 weeks we had to meet twice a week in this leadership cohort that we did. And I found out with very first day how incredibly brilliant this woman is and how loving she is, and that we need more people like Selena. And she's also a bad bitch. She runs a LGBTQ homeschooling group.
With a bunch of other awesome moms.
Yes, with a bunch of other awesome moms. Yes, a bunch of other awesome moms. Just very, very active in the community. Right now going to school at ODU, trying to pursue her PhD. Very, at first, intimidating for me because when I first met Selena, I was like, oh, she's so smart. She knows all these things. Oh my gosh. And it's just that whole, you do a little self check-in and then you just realize this is like one of my soul sisters. And so I am super excited for you to be on the podcast today because, we'll both get a little emotional. I know.
Where are the tissues?
So we worked really hard on our leadership cohort that we were a part of. We had amazing mentors, and they walked us through basically how as leaders we're going to start grassroots organizing, and as we become forward-facing organizers and leaders in the community, we need to have a story. And we talk about story, essentially started us with storytelling. And so our storytelling about ourselves morphed from the time we started talking about it till the time we ended. I think all of us had, by the time whatever we started with when we were started this kind of cohort in this project, by the time we got to our graduation where we had to actually present our story, and it's our story of self, story of us, and story of now, and how to get people activated but also sharing a part of yourself too. And so I have already had the pleasure to hear Selena's presentation about this amazing project that she is doing, which is really the purpose of her being here. We're going to talk about a lot of other things that she does, but this particular project, I think everybody's going to be able to relate to. And she has a really great story. And hello, Selena.
Hi. Now I feel on the spot to tell that story.
No, you don't have to tell that story. No, you don't have to tell that story. No.
I'm really glad you guys had me here today. Thank you. It is timely. And I don't know, I'm just excited to be with you guys and be in the space and see how the conversation flows. Yep. And you guys let me know when it's my turn to be ta-da, here's the thing.
Yeah. So first thing, how I know Selena's focus, right? What I know of Selena for focus is your LGBTQ kids, your homeschooling program.
Yeah.
And I would love for you to talk just a little bit about that and your kids, and not necessarily your kids specifically, but how you ended up getting involved in doing this homeschool group and understanding the needs of the community.
Yeah. So I've been in the homeschooling community for over 20 years in Virginia, and Hampton Roads, Charlottesville, and Northern Virginia have the largest homeschooled population. And so
I didn't realize that.
Yes. And so the mom who actually started the LGBTQ homeschool group for Hampton Roads, she and I have been running in circles for over 20 years together. Mm-hmm. And she reached out to me, I want to say 3 years ago, because I think that's about how old the group is now, and was like, hey, would you be interested in helping me get this up and running? We're thinking about trying to do some meetups for the high schoolers and stuff. And at that point, my kiddos were elementary school and hadn't really come out or anything. Like, so it wasn't, I was like, yeah, sure. But I was like, I don't feel like now is a good time. And I would find out about 2 weeks later that I had stage 3 cancer. So like I was not the one to step up at that point in time. And I was like, I will step up and step in when it's time. I was like, in the meantime, I'll just hang out. I'll hang back. I'll like see what I can figure out how to support that part of the community. And eventually, after treatment, I got well enough. And during that process, each one of my kids had come out to me with some flavor of rainbow libidinois. And so I was like, okay, so not only are we going to support her mission, I was like, we're part of who she's reaching out to. And I was like, I'm in. So we started going to their library days, which were originally for high schoolers only. And a middle schooler went in and just kind of seamlessly joined, and then it became a middle school and high school meetup, and it was really awesome. And my kids just, they love it there. They love the kids. They love the space. They love the librarians. The group is really organic. They just get together and hang out and get to be kids.
I love that.
And not be so isolated and alone. Because I feel like after COVID, and for our family after cancer,
because it was COVID and cancer.
Yeah, there was just a lot of isolation and stuff, and just kind of going to a space where you can fully be yourself and be authentic. It's just, it's a gift to be able to give to that space and to bring that energy, but it's also a gift to be able to be present in it and like receive that. And yeah, one day, there were a couple of us parents sitting around hanging out, and the moms who had started it, their kids like had moved on to high school, like had gone out of high school and gone to college or gone into work and stuff. And we're like, okay, so now what do we do? And
now what?
Yeah, so we were like, okay, you make the events, you be the greeter parent, and I'll be the reminder parent. So I started out just being like the reminder parent, but like, hey guys, don't forget we have a group, and like put an event on the calendar or whatever. Since then we have grown though. We've been partnering with organizations in the area to help after the election, to just kind of help kids feel like they have a voice, because I think we hear so much, you vote, that's your voice. And we're trying to teach them that they can vote with their dollars, and that self-care is important, and that they have rights. And so we've had Planned Parenthood come in and talk about resources and help and support and how to get involved, even when you're little and you don't feel like you're big enough to vote or do anything.
Right.
Like how to have your own power, because I feel like we have a responsibility to raise.
Right. And that's been lost. Like, I think that like that's been something that's been really lost with public school, right?
And one of the things I was really grateful is that Selena actually invited the Galos Coalition to come in, and I got a chance to go sit and meet with a lot of the kids and a lot of the parents. I got to meet with them, and because a lot of times we talk about the trans family dinner, we talk about making those connections, but one of the subsets of our community that is perhaps even more isolated than some of our other LGBTQ plus parents and our trans parents are the homeschool parents. And not only was it me, we also had producer Athena, who came out with us and helped fold cranes with the kids and just try to spread a little bit of joy. And it was really a magical space. And one of the things that I really love about Selena is that she has been not just an amazing advocate for those homeschool kids, but for the entire community in large. And even this weekend, one of the things I definitely wanted to bring up and discuss is this weekend we held a rally. We all got together in Plum Point Park in Norfolk, and we were rallying for our trans youth. And we had all of the mama bears. Well, maybe not all of the mama bears. Some of them had to work. But so many mama bears and papa bears, and so many different folks who came out. We had students from over 13 different high schools show up. We had speakers from all different sorts of organizations. And Selena was holding down the first aid and water supply to making sure that everyone was okay. Because
candy.
And the candy. Oh, God. Yeah, the candy. So.
That was the first thing I got when I went to the table, was the candy. It was a really great showing. It was just a really great event. So with CHKD, they have walked back they have now said that they will offer gender affirming care to minors, and they will, because the federal court judge said that was okay for now. But Thea, what did they do?
Well, it's an interesting distinction. I had a chance to talk with some of the spokespeople and folks that are over there at CHKD, and they put out an official statement where we're very fortunately continuing prescriptions, continuing care for existing trans care patients. But what they left out in that distinction is whether or not they are going to continue new trans care patient. And when I asked for direct follow-up, there wasn't any additional follow-up. One of the things that we're concerned with is that in their statement, they said they're following what UVA and what some of the other hospitals are doing. And we have clarification from UVA that while they are referring patients out, that if someone comes seeking new care, they're referring them to private providers, not providing that care through the hospital. And one of the things I'm most concerned about is if I was trying to end a clinic or shut down a clinic, it may not necessarily be a matter of kicking all the patients out. That can cause all sorts of different issues and disruptions. Never mind legal ramifications for the hospital. And because remember, they're not concerned so much about justice here as they are about the financial ramifications of losing federal funding.
Right.
Not to say that they aren't concerned about the care of their patients,
No,
because they are. But it was also important that they didn't actually stop care. There were some individual parents and families because there was a lot of confusion the day of. But this is the sort of confusion that happens when the president starts dictating things back and forth. So one of the things that I would want to say is we need to continue the advocacy as much as we can to make sure that these public hospitals and public accommodations are providing ongoing care, that they're not ceasing care. Because as you said, there was another federal court order that came down and specifically indicted not just the cutoffs of federal funding, but the specific provisions within the executive order that was targeting 19 and under. And so yeah, one of the things we're going to see here is a continued fight. I hope that if anyone at CHKD ever has a chance to listen to us, they'll realize that our trans families aren't going anywhere. Trans people we're going to continue to be here, and our medical needs, especially for our youth, are still going to be there. So
right.
And hopefully they got that message loud and clear when we were out there rallying.
Yeah, and there was a great, what I noticed was there was a lot of youth, youth of all ages, but I still, I'm almost 50, so for me, youth is also young 20s. You know what I mean? I'm like,
but there were littles out there.
But there were also littles. Yeah, there were littles. So it was
families,
so it was very families, all age
group of people out there.
Yes, and so which high school kids, obviously some younger adults.
Over 120 people, I think.
Yeah, I do believe.
So there were so many people that I don't think everybody got to visit our table and sign up for Kalos Coalition and for the Trans Family Dinner, although I tried really hard.
Yeah.
We did get a lot of signups, though.
You did, yeah. So with that, kind of going to the high school kids, something that you've identified is, so there's always been a rainbow prom, right? So
I'm not sure if always.
Well, maybe always. Maybe not always, but there is an established rainbow prom here in Hampton Roads.
Yes, and
okay.
I'm actually on the prom committee this year.
And you're on the prom committee.
I'm working on swag bags. I'm part of the help with that. I'm excited.
And so, but the rainbow prom is adults.
No, it's actually for kids 13 to 19.
Oh, 13 to 19. Okay, got it.
So it's a more welcoming and affirming space for kids to get to go to prom and take the dates that they want to take. They don't have to fight with their school's administrations, about what they wear, about who they bring.
Yep.
So I'm so excited because this year's theme is Somewhere Over the Wicked Rainbow. Because everybody's loving the Wicked this year, and it's going to be held at a theater on Granby.
Granby Theater.
I believe so.
Yep.
Don't quote me on that.
Yeah. A lot of stuff is, if it's not at the Wells, it's probably Granby. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's the Granby Theater.
In Norfolk, Virginia, and for our listeners.
Yeah. So I was I was inspired a long time ago. Through my own prom dress traumas and trials, to find a way to remove barriers to access to things. One of the things, I think Melissa mentioned that I'm at school right now. I'm an undergrad. One day I'll be a big grown-up PhD. But one of the things that we talk about in the Women's and Gender Studies department is intersectionality and the crosses where we have privilege and oppression. And when you look at the demographics of our area, in terms of race, median income, and that sort of thing, a lot of things like a prom or even a craft class can have financial access barriers.
Yep.
So the prom has scholarship tickets for kiddos, and it made me think about, well, what else would be a barrier to access? And we're a family of 5. And feeding those teenagers is expensive. But now you want me to dress them up?
Little crotch goblins sucking the life out of us and our money.
Let's talk transparently a little bit more.
Well, we are talking transparency, and we are parents.
And so I started to think about that in terms of like the greater community. And I was like, what if we could find some way to fairy godmother this? Like, what if we could turn all the little Cinderellas and Cinderelles into prince and princesses? And how do we do that? And I started talking to some people who are involved in the community, Thea being one of them. And she connected me with Beth at the 757 Reuse Center.
Oh, yeah.
And I kind of pitched my idea, and it was just like a seedling of an idea. And they were both on board, and they're like, how can we help? And then we started talking, and I've met with Beth. She's adding some classes over the next couple of months to help kids like either make bags, like beaded bags or jewelry to go with their things. And we have big dreams, and we're talking about like what things we could add in terms of gender affirming makeup, like contouring and maybe glam makeup, or how to find things around your house to do skincare, because again, financial barriers. So we're talking to some estheticians and some hairdressers. I'm a retired hairdresser.
Yes.
And so just trying to figure out what we could do to make sure that the kids get to go and get their fairy godmother bippity boppity boot on them so that they can have a magical night that they deserve in the gender affirming clothes that they deserve. And we have big dreams. We're hoping it'll be like a long-term thing that we loan them out and they bring them back by midnight or by Wednesday.
Or by Wednesday. I think Wednesday would probably be great. Yeah. Yeah. And with that, you know, I mean, as any program grows, I mean, at one time, I used to serve on the board of a local nonprofit here called Aid Now. And it started with the owner of Coastal Edge did a jeans drive every year to basically donate. So at the high school, so they had these big bins out, and like the high school, there was a competition between the high schools to like who could donate the most, like gently used, you know, jeans basically. And so they had raised, I mean, they got thousands of jeans from all the high schools in Virginia Beach. Yeah. And they donated 1,600 pairs to Aid Now. And so those 1,600 pairs were in my garage because we didn't have any place to store them. And so my friends were like, hey, can we put them in your garage? I'm like, well, yeah. And we had like named it Jewel's Closet because it was for Virginia Beach City Public Schools. Basically the families the families with higher needs, whether they are unhoused or they're almost unhoused or whatever their needs are, to make sure that these kids had clothes, because they had this like clothing closet and it had gotten rained, like they had a roof problem. And then we were looking at the clothes and we were like, ew, like these kids don't want to wear these clothes. If these kids come down here to get clothes and they're not taking these clothes. So we basically wanted to like provide clothes, gently used, fashion forward, in style clothes for kids that go to school at VBCPS. And it turned into it basically started with these 1,600 pairs of jeans. I did a fundraiser with my business, and we raised enough money to pay for the storage unit for like a year or whatever. And then we moved to a storage unit, and then we started taking donations, and then it was a monster. And then it turned out into this huge thing that we did at the schools. So like, I just love the idea of starting something like this. And like, as we provide safe spaces for people to be their authentic selves, the people will grow, which means the need will grow. One hopes, right? And so, yeah, you're going to need a bigger space, is all I'm saying. And I'm just giving you my little story of 1,600 jeans that
I feel like we need a space to begin with, to be totally honest.
Right.
Yeah.
Beth is being really kind and lending us the space this year, for right now. And I think why she was a good partner and the Reuse Center were a good partner is because it's not just about removing financial barriers to the event. It's also about keeping things out of the landfill and trying to as our economy continues to shift, think about sharing, swapping, mutual aid.
Love that.
Being kind to the planet and to each other. And
because we're in a world of fast fashion right now. And
we
like,
are.
and I even just the consumerism, today I was with my girlfriend and I was like, oh, look at these Adidas Sambas. They're pink with like Kelly green laces and they're so cute. And I'm like, I have to have them. And I'm like, no, this is the problem. We are consumers. I'm like, I don't need to have them. I can't even keep all the shoes I have like in the place that they're supposed to be instead of all over my floor. I don't need another pair of stinking shoes, but I want them, you know? And so we are living in like this, we are, especially with what's about to come down. We need to be gardening. We need to be canning. We need to be, you know, swapping clothes, like having these more mutual aid attitudes, because that's what's gonna happen.
But then also,
I'm living in the world of vintage, like half or more of what I own is a decade or more old.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of skills that go into maintaining clothes, and also, you know, learning how to make new pieces out of old pieces. And the thing that's really great about the 757 Creative Reuse Center is they've got those classes, not just the ones that they're hosting for the kids for the. So if you're listening to this and you're interested, if you're in the 757 area, please check us out. We're in MacArthur Mall. You can go out there anytime. There's an art room. There's all sorts of things like sewing machines and all sorts of tools, and they all have people there that can help you to learn how to do it. So not only will there be like actual fabrics and resources and all those things right there where you can make things creatively. A lot of that was going right to the landfill, and it was saved from going to the landfill. So you are creatively reusing. So I absolutely love their mission. I'm very, very fortunate to actually serve on their board. I'm very, very excited to do that. And I'll always give them plugs. And the other thing is that if you're outside of the 757 region, one of the things that a lot of people don't realize, there's a whole network. If you go to the 757 Creative Reuse Center's page, you can find on their social media a map. There is usually another Creative Reuse Center within a network of Creative Reuse Centers, ones that are up in Richmond. I think there's one out in Western Virginia. There's one up in Nova. I believe there's almost like 7 or 8 of them across Virginia. So it's a sort of thing like, if you haven't checked out or you haven't looked for your Creative Reuse Center or something similar, do it.
That's awesome. I love that. And like you said, just the, you know, having them cleaned, I mean, which is an expense, which will have to be considered, obviously, with, you know, all of those things.
With my theater background, I have access to people and resources that can help us learn how to take care of the costumes and store them, and are willing to teach other people. And the staff there is incredibly knowledgeable about fabric care. And we want to make sure that the kids feel special and that they're clean and tidy.
And they're clean and tidy. Yes,
and that it's stuff they want, not
right. Because that's the thing, like people, and I mean, I would get upset when we started taking donations, like, you know, they knew we were very specific about like, these are for middle school, high school kids. We were only serving middle school, high school.
Yeah.
When we first started. And so we were like, these kids don't, like, you don't bring your member's mark jacket up in here and try and donate to that to me, bro. Like, you know what I mean? So I would get really, or like your painting jeans, you know, there are some times that vintage, retro, like, we can do those, but those are very specific and usually very expensive. You know what I mean? They look like shit, but they're like $600. Those, right? You're like, I could have done that in my garage, but okay. So how long are you, let me back this up. What are you collecting, and when do you want to have it by?
So we're taking almost everything. Jewelry, hats, hair pieces, dresses, suits, ties, pocket squares, anything that you can think of across any gender, like just nice clothes to go out
that you would wear for a night, like a prom, not a prom, but it doesn't have to be super fancy. It doesn't have to be like a Cinderella ball gown, you know what I mean? No,
just anything like better than your Sunday best, but not but not full on
like
Cinderella.
Oscars, you know what I mean? You're not going out for the night.
Not the Met Gala.
The Met Gala. I love that Eat the Rich dress though.
And they get these to you by dropping them at the Creative Reuse Center?
Yeah.
Drop off at the Creative, okay.
They drop off at the Reuse Center. Beth and I have chosen a date to get the dresses passed out. We're still working out some of the things, and we will continue to take items. That was the other thing that we discussed. So even after we give everybody's outfits out, we have a plan to, like, if donations come in after that, and then we want to get together with the kids and make sure they get the alterations that they need. So that'll be a skill that they're also going to learn when they get their outfit, so they can make sure their outfit looks good, feels good, that sort of thing.
I love that multi-purpose, like also teaching them a skill.
Right.
Love that.
Well, it's the homeschool mom in me.
Yeah. You're like, you have to learn something. Nothing in life comes for free.
So I believe the prom is May 2nd, and I believe that we're going to try to get everybody's outfits out to them by 2 weeks before then.
Okay.
Don't ask me to math. I have dyscalculia.
That's like mid-April. So,
yeah,
okay.
So mid-April.
So we really need, like, the deadline, like, I would think by, like, April 10th.
Yeah.
Ish. You know what I mean? Like,
because we want to make sure that we have time to clean them.
Yes.
And steam them and have them ready to go for them to be passed out. So if stuff comes in, shoes are great. We don't care. Heels,
we need to go
flats.
out in my storage. We need to go out there.
Maybe we can help you get rid of some of that
yes!
shoe problem you have.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Like,
I have. Yeah.
Make your world better and help.
It's shame. I'm ashamed. But anyways, so that's fantastic. I am excited. And I actually have, not only we're going to have my storage unit, but I actually have some things in my house that I will get with you too.
And it makes it easy because they have regular hours. That you can
they're
drop
mall
off.
hours.
So and there's you don't have to go at a specific time. You can just run in and drop it off.
I love that 7-day-a-week business. Any day of the week, you can drop it off at MacArthur. Also, for people that do watch this, whether you're watching now or later, I often use my business for mutual aid, like drop-offs and stuff. So the Collective Tattoo and Body Piercing at 2720 North Mall Drive. If you do not want to go to Norfolk and you live in Virginia Beach, you can drop those off at our studio anytime. So that way, and then I will get them to you. So, but I think that's important because, like, you know, some people may, like, they're like, oh, I really like to do it, but they don't want to drive all the way north. Look, I'm just being real. Look, some people act like they have to pack a lunch to go to Norfolk, okay? I like, finished payroll today, and I was like, I'm coming to get you, like, and had to pick you up, you know what I mean, in Norfolk. I'm like, it's no big deal. But a lot of people, you know, again, accessibility and / laziness, we have to accommodate for that. And my business is also open 7 days a week, like mall hours, similar. So if, you know, it's just easy access for my Virginia Beach people.
That is so awesome. And I appreciate that as a Hampton person who commutes to Norfolk and Virginia Beach multiple times a week. I'm okay with that. But, you know.
Yeah, but just having another place to be able to.
Yes. Thank you. That is awesome.
No problem.
You know what? Now I'm just thinking, like, where can we have other city drop-offs?
Well, that's
and like I might need to have like a 5-year plan and make this a thing.
Make this a thing. I love this. So we covered the rally.
Absolutely. The other thing I wanted to talk about is we had the privilege this week of meeting with Sheriff Rocky Holcomb from Virginia Beach Sheriff's Office.
Did meet with Sheriff Rocky Holcomb.
I want to hear more about that.
Yeah, we did. We did go meet with him. I have established a relationship with Sheriff Holcomb. Before, it was when he was a council person. We have a very interesting relationship.
Yes, you really do. It was, let me tell you what, like, you were talking about sitting in the sheriff's office being like, oh, yes, you know, a cab, you know. Did you call him a snake to his face at one point?
I did. I just said you're the head of the snake. I was describing, I know.
And he's laughing. He's got just
and he's like, because he knows, like.
She didn't call him a snake, not the whole snake.
Not the whole, I didn't say the whole snake. I just said he's the head of the snake. And then, but I did go, I mean, he knows me, so it's like he understands.
But you came in, and before you said all of that, you were also like, Rocky, I'm concerned about mental health care. It's like, yeah, I know about the inmates. It's like, no, not the inmates. I'm talking about your officers.
That's right.
So when you come in, you're concerned you're not just coming at this from you're concerned about this from a holistic perspective.
Yeah, for sure.
I really appreciated that approach, and I feel like people should understand that you do care, and that's why Rocky sees that and understands that.
Because I think people don't realize, like, you know, they go straight to like all cops are bad, and I'm like, no, all cops. And I said this to Rocky, and I'm not shy about it. All cops are bastardized to the system. And then I had to, you know, remind him, like, hello, slave patrol. That's where deputies started, right? So it is a system, and it was originated out of the most deplorable, disgusting behavior in human history. And so yes, all cops are bastardized. To me, it's just like men. It's all men until it's no men. And men who get offended when I say that to them, hit dog gonna holler, right? All cops until it's no cops. And that doesn't mean lack of existence on men or cops. I mean, I definitely am an abolitionist for cops, but regardless, either way, not in my lifetime, but it just won't happen.
One of the things we wanted to talk about, I know this was really important to producer Ty. He helped me prepare questions.
Yes.
We went over a lot of the specifics, was to ask questions about what happened to Roland Hill. Last October, there was an inmate at the Sheriff's Office of Virginia Beach that unfortunately was, schmilled. I don't know. We're on TikTok.
Oh, we're on TikTok. Unalived.
Unalived through force of asphyxiation by the sheriff's officers. And there's been a lot of community concern, lots of questions, trying to find that body cam footage and make sure that's going. And one of the things that Melissa, through all of her advocacy work and knowledge, knows is that the Virginia Beach Police Department is very different than the Virginia Beach Sheriff's Office. So while the Virginia Beach Police Department has an independent committee, citizen review board,
yep.
The Sheriff's Office is not under that. So because they're a constitutional officer, as he was explaining to us, so it's the sort of thing that we really like to see our delegates as well as our state leadership realize that, this is a loophole that could easily be closed. And one of the great things that I thought throughout of all this was that Rocky is actually incredibly supportive. It was supportive of the idea of, this is what's going to make things more transparent. This is what's going to make things easier for me to be able to navigate these things, and also for us to provide better services to the community, because our community gives us that feedback and is also involved in the process.
Correct. And, the thing with Rocky, like how I've established a relationship he and I have, I mean, listen, that man will tell you I used to drag the shit out of him at city council. And then one day there was something he made a joke about, and I agreed with him, and we were like, oh, he was like, look there, Melissa, I'm pretty sure it was backyard chickens. But it was, we agreed on something that he was like, look there, Melissa, we agreed on something. And then there was something else we agreed on. And he was like, so he was intentional with his like,
and there was like slow motion.
Yeah.
Running and inspirational music.
But like he was literally so I had to respect him for the fact that like I have definitely like publicly, you know what I mean, like on a public platform been not very nice to him initially, and then he definitely was happy when I moved along to a different council person, somebody else got my attention. So I always joke that like council people and school board people, like their butthole puckers up when I walk up the podium, because they're just like, oh, who's gonna get it tonight?
So it's not just Beware the Ides of March, it's Beware the Ides of Melissa.
Yeah, literally. They should play, look, at all the board meetings, like in council, they should just play the Imperial Death March when I come walking down to the podium.
It's not that bad. Are you kidding?
Are you kidding me?
Yes,
it is. For some people it is.
If there was like, entrance music.
I made some school board members cry. But, okay, so, I am proud of that, actually. They deserved it. So, but back to Rocky. So he, he has taken some shit from me. And so I do have some respect for him. And then coming into, I did his predecessor. We had a very difficult relationship. And I had actually, that started because I inquired about mental health. He felt he'd made a lot of improvements, which I didn't argue with him, but that doesn't mean that there's not room for improvement. And that just declined terribly because that man didn't know how to talk to constituents. Rocky, however, was always open to having conversations and hearing. And Rocky will tell you, I have, said things to him where, he is like, well, Melissa, and I'm like, but let me explain to you why. And one of the things that I like about that is that he actually wants to hear, like he wants to understand, right? He may leave the conversation still having whatever opinion he has, but like he made the good faith effort. And so when he became sheriff, because Stolly retired, he said he wanted to make change. And within, I think, a month, he invited me to do a jail tour. And one of the things I will tell you about Rocky is when that man takes you on a tour of the jail. I told you, Thea, I'm going to get Thea, he's going to give Thea a tour of the jail. I'll go, do it again because it's always fun. But like, he's like a kid, and not in a mean way. Like, he's like a little kid. Like, he's very proud of the institution, which makes me like,
It's like, this is where we keep our people.
This is where I keep our people. But on the flip side, yeah, but right. However, there you go, like, right. But so that's why I'm like, but this is the society we live in. And when you are overseeing, and you are the person that is overseeing people who have temporarily lost their constitutional rights, and 70% of them on average do not look like you, it is very important that we have someone in the highest constitutional office in the whole state, that they are wanting to be transparent, and they want those things. So those are the things that I've seen in Rocky. And listen, Democrats will shit on me because like I, have an affinity for Rocky. Like I just think, I think that we're not getting a better choice. So we should work with the person that's there.
And if someone has an issue with me going and talking with the Fitchie Beach sheriff, one of the things that I think is really important to remember is that now that Fitchie Beach sheriff has met a trans woman who wasn't necessarily on the wrong side of the law, now that sheriff has had conversations about all these different, and also that we were able to make connections. So if there are trans inmates who are there are ways that we can advocate. And I'm hoping that as I continue to develop that relationship, the thing that I'm most concerned about, and what we also questioned about, was the treatment of trans inmates and how those different things are handled. I got some different answers, which are not always the great things you want to hear.
Oh yeah, I definitely was just about to say the same thing. The second he was like, well, we follow PREA, and I was like, my just chest. I definitely felt like, which is the prison rape is something.
Don't ask me for the acronym right now, but it's PREA.
PREA.
It's a federal piece of legislation, as he explained, that was eventually signed by Obama, introduced under the Bush administration. And basically it is something that is trying to stop sexual assaults and rapes inside of prisons and all sorts of things. And basically what he explained, in very, very inelegant terms, is, they do it based off of waist down, where they'll put somebody. And then the only other things that they can offer are what is protective custody, basically solitary confinement.
Basically solitary confinement, or like, because it is a local jail, and I have toured the jail, it's not like a solitary confinement per se, but like a smaller room, or the way he kind of described it was, it's like you can go and like gen pop, you know what I mean, if you want, but like if you're not comfortable. And the one thing that he did say, which, I have no choice but to believe him, because I'm not in there to prove him, this is a relationship that we have built on trust, and I am very clear with Rocky, like, if you break my trust, I will be a menace, you know what I mean? So like, don't break my trust. And I think he respects that, right? So he says that the deputies ask, where would they be comfortable? Like, how do they want to go in solitary? Like, where's their comfort level in interacting, right? He also said that they haven't had many trans people come in to the jail. They have had some, but not. So they lack experience also. If a deputy only interacts with one trans person over the course of, a couple years, right? That's not doing anything for them to continually be exposure. I did tell Thea when we pulled up, I was like, what I'm doing is a little bit of, what did I say?
Exposure therapy.
It's exposure therapy. I was like, we're doing a little exposure therapy. And I loved it. And I will tell you, Rocky called me yesterday. I think yesterday. No, it was Wednesday, day after, and said, it was a great meeting. Really enjoyed meeting you. And someone said I think one of his majors saw us leaving and said, "Who is that lady with Melissa?" And he was like, I was so happy, like, that they, and it's that stuff, right? It's just that.
Well, so it's better seeing us as humans. I was able to sit there and impart, because maybe he sees these different things or hears these different things, but I was able to tell him, there's 4,500 to 6,000 trans people inside of Virginia Beach alone, inside the city. Right. And, one of the remarks he said, trans people are not the problem. I hardly ever see trans people because we're not criminals. And I was able to say, you know what? On top of us having a reduced rate of criminality, we also have a higher rate of serving in the military service and other different things, and doing public service, because we are, generally speaking, trying to be our best selves.
Yeah.
We've made that conscious decision. And it was something I think that really was obvious to him, and it resonated with him. And the more that he sees us as humans, the harder it will be for him, given state changes laws, to see us as this sort of evil. Now, do I have the naivety to believe that a police officer or a sheriff is not going to follow a change of law if all of a sudden state or federal laws were to come down that were to criminalize trans people? But I do think that that sort of advocacy matters.
It does.
Because if there is going to be pushback, or if there are going to be people who are going to stop that in different positions of power, it's going to be those people that are elected officials 9 times out of 10. So we have our sheriffs, but then also it's going to be people who can put faces to names, have specific memories, go, you know what, that person did this work and this person's worked with me on this before. And that's what community building is all about.
That's right.
So.
Yeah.
And it is going to matter, because we are seeing a lot of those laws. I think the new one that scared the heck out of me today, just because it feels like a new,
it's like
just like a new strategy. I think it's Texas House Bill 8317 got introduced, and
what does that mean?
It would make it a felony, a jailable felony in the state of Texas to verbally, to in writing or verbally lie or mislead an employer or the government about your biological sex.
What?
Yep.
So are they going to start running genetic tests? Like the science? Oh my God.
I know. Just
I'm
it's
like,
the ignorance abounds
today.
I know, right?
I'm like, Cody, you just dropped that one.
You know,
off.
it's so prescient because I was actually, I don't know if I've talked about this on the podcast before. I haven't actually updated my name, even though I run a trans nonprofit. It's one of the things that I just haven't got around to doing. So now that we're under a fascist regime, that's when I decided to do it. I was at the Social Security Administration this morning.
Oh.
I was actually down there at the office and with my paperwork, all the different things to get my Social Security updated. And of course, they would not update my gender marker, even though I had letters from my doctors and all sorts of other different things, because that's the current policy that they implemented. As I expected that. I talked to the ACLU and other legal advocates, so they weren't able to do that. But it is interesting because now that Social Security still has that wrong, you know, I'm updating my birth certificate, updating my driver's license, all those sorts of things on a state level, which I'm allowed to do because we live in Virginia and we have the amazing Danica Rome and all sorts of other different Democrats who have been fighting for us. But it puts me in a position where if the federal government wanted to pull my card and be like, well, you lied on this and you lied on, if it became like a federal law, what you're talking about became some sort of federal model or something, or if we lost the state house and all of a sudden it became a Virginia law, they could use that to incarcerate me. And there's nothing I can do about it. I can't update the system inside, but you know, and this is what they're trying to do to force us to be fearful, but also for them to have teeth to come after us. And it's really strange because the ultimate goal of all of this really is to push us back in the closet and or put us in prison, which is a terrifying thing to do to a group of people, as we just talked about, have a lower rate of criminality, a higher risk of public service, and are generally bright.
I think for... Because, yes, that's part of the ultimate goal. But I think the ultimate goal, and this is what people really need to realize, the ultimate goal, despite the trans population, immigrant population, besides these vulnerable populations, you know, being attacked, that's a symptom of the ultimate goal.
Right.
The ultimate goal is for people to not realize that what color or gender or orientation you were born has nothing to do with being a criminal. That has to do with poverty.
That's right.
The ultimate goal is to not let people realize that the biggest reason Rome fell was income inequality.
That's right.
Allowed to corruption and dictatorship.
Today, 2025.
The ultimate goal is for people not to realize who the ultimate antagonizer and enemy really is. What the ultimate root cause of this is, so that they don't see that all of these different government decisions are only taking away resources from the people that need them and pumping them up to the people that don't.
That's right.
That these different executive decisions that eliminate oversight of corporations, put our safety and health at risk, put our work environments at risk, our food supplies at risk. I mean,
all of that, and here we sit in 2025.
And that's what the ultimate goal is. The ultimate goal is to keep everybody from realizing that they are getting the blood just sucked out of them.
So it's sport.
For sport.
The same reason the Romans had the Colosseum. They wanted to make sure that people...
That's right.
They're painting bullseyes on my back for sport.
This is the Colosseum for the fall of America.
Yep.
That's
how pathetic. Like, honestly, you want to come after trans people? That's entertainment. Although I guess Ben Shapiro, so I shouldn't call them out directly, but all these different right-wing podcasters, we can call them out, I guess. But all these, that's what they do. They've gotten millions of dollars off. Even Dave Chappelle, we've talked about it
from
before.
Russia.
All these sorts, like, we can talk about all these people who've turned us into a spectacle that they've been able to monetize to the tunes of tens of millions of dollars. And I mean, how else can you see it but a sport?
And that's, I think people miss that. We miss that in history even. The ultimate goal of 1930s Germany was not to eliminate the Jewish population.
Correct.
If that were the goal, they wouldn't have tried to start taking over the world.
That's right.
All right. The ultimate goal is to keep everybody distracted with that hate while they do absolutely whatever they want to get control of all of the power, and then they don't care at that point. And that's what's frustrating so bad when you hear the bear with me.
Right.
In this scenario, right? The bear with me. By the time people are done bearing with them, they won't be able to do anything about how everything's been taken away from them.
Correct. Yep. Oh, that is the actual goal.
And that's exactly what, I mean, people miss that about rights. When you let somebody else's right get taken away, your right left with it.
Yep.
You no longer have that right. You might still be receiving access to whatever that is, but your right to it is gone.
That's right.
And as soon as it is inconvenient for your right to it, for your access to it exist, that's when you find out your right to it left when you let somebody else's right to it go with them.
Bam. That part.
And that's every single part of it.
Code's on fire.
You let somebody else's right to be included go away.
Yep.
When it's no longer convenient to include you, you find out you let your right to be included go away with it.
That's right. Exactly. Also, we haven't talked about this, and I found out Wednesday, and I was telling Rocky about this because I said, well, this affects your family because your daughter, you know what I mean? So I was like, look, the DHS just came out and said that, well, they didn't say it. They just changed it out of the surveillance, intelligence surveillance. So now on the website, they've taken LGBTQ from the so basically race, sex, religion, all of that are protected. Those are all protections for essentially surveillance, and they just removed LGBTQ. So that's the only change they made was just to remove that. So why did you do that? Surveillance. So like now the government we're not protected from being surveilled by the government now? That's disgusting and terrifying.
Oh yeah, if you look on the FBI's watch list of words, I feel like
I feel like there's my name there.
I feel like it's my a description of me,
right?
Like, woman, cares about these communities. It's very targeted, and it makes me think about that poem, like First They Came.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
well, and it's super easy to see how how exactly that plays out, right? I mean, let's just take average cis straight American male.
Yep.
I got one of those at home.
Blue collar.
I got one of those at home
regular job. That's me.
Yeah.
Blue collar, regular American job. All right, but we've gotten rid of a lot of things through these, government oversight You know, a lot of the protections and regulations, and even if they're still there, the ability to enforce any of them, they're gone. I mean, heck, we already struggle with this a little bit in our country, or we wouldn't have found miners cleaning buzzsaws at meat factories multiple times in the last couple of years. Or
working at the Hyundai plant in Alabama.
And so clearly we're already not able to completely enforce this. So let's imagine a world where we've cut that further and further away.
Right.
And now I don't have protections at work. And now millions of cis, straight, white, American, middle class, blue collar men don't either. And now we're getting sicker more. All right, but now our health care is more. We're becoming more disabled. Medicaid is more, and it's just not economically viable to sustain this.
No.
And so we're just not going to. That access is no longer required to be covered by insurance, and we can uproar about that. But guess what? We already did that. We already said we could do that.
Well, there was only one Luigi.
Although there was one.
Could be more.
But there are still
there's so many
healthcare CEOs.
So many healthcare CEOs.
I feel like a frog in the pot that doesn't know it's being boiled. Except I'm cognizant of the boiling. I can see the flame, and it's so difficult to have those conversations, the storytelling things that we learned in our leadership cohort, connecting with people. I'm taking some classes this semester, and we're talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion justice. We are talking about environmental issues, how they're tied together. And watching it play out in real time, the stuff that we're studying in school that was supposed to be historical and help inform me as an advocate and an educator one day.
Right.
Like, I'm like, this is really hard to like live my homework while I'm trying to turn it in, you know? And we were talking about that today, and it's so surreal, you know, but I don't want to be the person who, when my grandchildren ask, well, where were you, Nana, when this was going on? I was in those streets and I was screaming. I was also holding hands of people who needed it. And you know what? I was trying to put a little bit of sparkly fun in the world.
Yeah.
As a maintenance supervisor, like I literally spent a good half of my lunch break in my head figuring out how I could convert the linen closet in my apartment to look like intake vent for HVAC.
Yeah.
With a door so somebody could hide in it, and then if they just opened the vent to look even, it would still just look like an HVAC duct.
I mean, this is where we are. Like,
I have thought about like converting our garage. Like, could we have like a false attic and like insulate it?
I can make one for you.
You know what? I might
Yep.
take you up on that, Cody. But yeah, like the fact that people, like everyday people who just want to feed their kids and go to work and live their lives, like trans people, LGBTQ people, black and brown people, women, like we just want to freaking live and have access to things that the same
thing that everybody else has.
Yeah, I mean,
know, like,
shocking.
What makes that so radical? Like I would like to go to school. I would like to feed my children. I would like to not have to like worry that my health care is tied to my husband's job and that I might lose access to it because we piss the wrong people off because we have the wrong things associated with us on the list.
Yeah, well, I mean, what was it said? They're certainly worried about the wrong small percentage of people, you know.
The wrong 1%.
Okay, well, I have thoughts about
I think it's a little bit more than 1%, but still
I'm just talking about the billionaire class.
You know, the wrong.
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah.
No, it's the billionaire class.
They're less than 1%. They're like points.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I feel like it's shrinking as they get closer to trillions.
Well, yeah, because there can only be so many of them as the wealth continues to consolidate all in one place. I mean, the problem is it's all half-formed thoughts, right? Halfway through tariffs, it's going to bring jobs back. We already have 1 million plus more jobs than we can fill, even if every single person was employed.
Yep.
You know, all of it is half-formed thoughts. They never think it all the way through to the end.
Well, I was just thinking too. I just heard like a day or two ago that you know how the conservatives scream about BlackRock. BlackRock owns everything, which they're not wrong. Okay, they're not wrong. The Koch brothers, Rupert Murdoch.
Right. There's a handful of them.
Right. BlackRock. Well, guess who bought the other side of the Panama Canal, y'all?
Is it BlackRock?
BlackRock. So now they own the North End and the South End, and guess who let them do it? Donald Trump. Okay, so all these Republicans screaming about BlackRock. You know what I mean? Like, they don't even know who is screwing them over. They're literally screaming about the people. They're like the fucking frogs in the pot. Like, how do you not know that these are the people screwing you over?
But here's the thing. A lot of these people if we talk about BlackRock, we're talking about some of the literally the most potent and powerful companies that own stock and sit on the boards and oversee some of the largest corporations in the world. They've gone to the business schools. Some of them taught at the business schools. They've helped write the laws for decades. They have an understanding of a system.
And frat brothers are in DOJ.
The broligarchs.
But then never mind the corporate shell game that they constantly play with all the different subsidiaries, all the different holding companies, all the different countries, all the different ways that currencies are going. So the idea that the average American voter can be actually informed on something like that is kind of part and part of why it is so complicated and why they do the things that they do. Yeah. Not only so that they can avoid like public accountability, but just even accountability from people at the SEC or from other government agencies, because a lot of those people are paid on government salaries versus them hiring out people who can pay people millions of dollars to come work for them. So there's an information and a power asymmetry that exists because we're talking about raw capitalistic power on like an international level. These people also own like 5 to 10% of your health insurance company. Like whenever they get like $1 billion in dividends every quarter, they're getting like, tens of millions of dollars off of your. So like when we talk about, like, the conservatives aren't wrong. Yeah. Like when they talk about those sorts of things,
they're literally not wrong.
Their criticism and their like analysis point is Cody, they never gets followed through. And the other thing I wanted to bring back on just real quick is Cody's talking about how we lose rights. This isn't just a matter of not being surveilled by the government. LGBTQ plus people have lost housing rights, workplace protection. Yes. Like, yes, we all are potentially about to lose OSHA based off of House law, legislation and crazy things that are being debated. But like already, if there was a problem at my employment, at anyone's employment, that was based off of discrimination, off of sexual identity or gender identity, the Equal Employment Commission would not hear your case. They wouldn't take it. You have no protections. And it's the sort of thing that means, as you're saying, you do have no protections. You straight person over, like, it's just a matter of time, and you don't believe it. You think it's going to stop. It never does.
It was hilarious to listen to talk about dirty food coming in from other countries while at the same time eliminating the people that would make our food clean.
Right? Exactly. Right?
Same thing with the air traffic controllers. All these people.
And at the State of the Union, which I did not watch, and I'm so glad I didn't. Like, my mental state cannot handle.
I can only handle so much mango Mussolini time.
Mango Mussolini time.
I'm in about a half hour in.
Okay, so but
there was
like
a speech?
They literally brought focus this poor kid that had brain cancer, right? While they're defunding cancer research, so they're like mad at the Democrats, I guess, because the Democrats didn't applaud with this about the story with the boy with brain cancer. But like, you're using this boy as a prop, and it's disgusting.
I call that poverty porn. Like
it's poverty porn.
Yeah, like when we like give them the little sob story and be like, "Look, we're doing a good job," and you're not. It's just to distract you. Like this whole like. Here, look at this while we're not so secretly tearing away your rights. Yeah. Like, it just feels like the worst magic show, and I did not buy a ticket to this.
Right, yeah,
There'll be a little disturbance. Mm-hmm. I just wish people could realize you can't unjump off a cliff.
No reverse jumping there. No. Anyways, let's get back to some joy. Thea.
Yes.
Trans Family Dinner, March.
Yes, we've got a bunch of things going on in March.
Okay, what's going on in March?
Before the Trans Family Dinner on March 13th, we're actually partnering with Hampton Roads Pride on Pride Night with the Virginia Stage Company out at the Wells Theater. If you are listening to this right now, there is a raffle going on. You can go to, I guess, Athena, can we share the link? Is it possible? Go to Kayla's Coalition on our social medias where you can find the link to be able to look at raffle tickets. It's a sort of thing, if you haven't followed us, follow us, Kayla's Coalition. But basically, we're giving away 2 tickets to people who buy raffle tickets. We're giving away 5 different bundles of them, and you can come join us 7:30 p.m. on March 13th.
And what's the show?
Oh, I forgot the best part.
Little Shop of Horrors.
Little Shop of Horrors.
Little Shop.
Feed me, Seymour.
Yes, it's one of my favorites.
It's going to be an amazing
Feed me and
night.
tell me I'm pretty.
I am just so excited that we're doing this, and Hampton Roads Pride made it possible, so we're going to have lots of trans family members out, and it's going to be a really fun night. And then later that weekend, on March 16th, we have our trans family dinner for March. We're doing taco night. It's going to be super awesome. You can sign up.
You can't miss it. It's tacos.
I know. I'm going to be with my oldest, who's having their top surgery, and they are so excited. Congratulations. And Mom has to go because their husband is like, I mean, he's passed out on a tattoo. He's so sweet. I love him. But like, he sees a smidge of blood and he's like out. So apparently with like the top surgery, like, the drain tubes. Yeah. And so the only other thing was like they're not getting their nipples, like they're either just not going to get their nipples put back on because they're like, I don't need nipples. It doesn't serve a purpose. It's just cosmetic, and I don't really care. I'm happy looking like a Ken doll, you know.
Well, I can save you tacos for when you get back.
Oh
no, might be a couple weeks old.
They'll be whole weeks old. So I am super sad I'm missing taco dinner, but okay. So taco dinner March 16th.
Yes, and then also the other big thing I'd like to give a shout out here is we've got the Trans Day of Visibility. Kayla's Coalition is working in partnership with the Life Center, the Thriving Trans Men of Color, all of our different wonderful partners, including the STRC, the Southeastern Transgender Resource Center on Granby Street, which is where it will be hosted from 12 p.m. to 7 p.m. all day on that Monday. So come out March 31st from 12 to 7 p.m. That's what we're going to say, out on Granby Street. We're going to have all sorts of tables. There's going to be all sorts of food and fun. And we're going to be celebrating, I think the theme this year is Rest Equals Resistance. So there'll be lots of food. There'll be lots of good music. And yeah, we'll be putting our light out. So
okay, man. March is busy.
Then also, Selena, I think you had a couple of things that you were interested in talking about as well. We had some deadlines as well as tell everyone about the Rainbow Prom again.
Okay, so Rainbow Prom tickets went on sale. I believe they went live last week. They're $30 a student, and prom is on May 2nd, which is a Friday. If you are going to donate any of your wonderful sparkly things to the 757 Creative Reuse Center for our students, that needs to be done by mid-April. I think we picked April 15th because it's a day that people remember because tax day.
Easy, yeah.
We're like, pay the fairy godmother tax. No, I'm just kidding. And we have a homeschool group for the LGBT kids that's like for family to come, so everybody kind of hangs out. We have lunch, and we do that on Mondays at the LGBT Life Center in Hampton, and we're hoping to bring that program over to this side of the water at some point.
That's awesome. So, and then how, if we have anybody that's listening that has, they're interested in your homeschooling group, how do people reach out, especially with some of the education changes? I think we may be seeing. You may be seeing maybe an uptick in some kids that need more support. So
right. So there is a wonderful group here. It's called Homeschooling in Hampton Roads, and that is run by one of the moms who runs the LGBTQ homeschool group. And that's a great place to start. Like if you want to learn like what the laws are, what your rights are, how to comply. If you want to figure out what curriculum works for you or where to shop or where to find park days or co-ops or science classes or how to write a high school diploma, whatever you need, that's where you go first.
Amazing.
If, however, you're part of the Lebidiqua family and you just need some people to hang out and be affirmed and have some fun spaces, then you would look for Hampton Roads LGBTQ plus homeschoolers. And fill out the security questions on Facebook, and
we don't want no crazy people.
Yeah, we'll let you in, and then we will let you know where we meet up and when we meet up, and make sure that you just don't feel so alone in this world, and you get to be your sparkly, fabulous self.
Yes, I love that.
Yep, that is all amazing stuff that I am super grateful for. So thankful for all the stuff we do with the Kalos Coalition, all of our dinners. That's where I got to meet.
Yep.
Selena. And I'm so grateful to have met Selena because I also have a little Lebidiqua child.
Yes.
In homeschool.
Yes.
And she often is very isolated just at home. Yeah. And so her having places like the dinners and the groups to go, getting to hear her laugh out loud,
Yeah, it's important.
Yeah, those are all amazing things. Yeah. It's proof, time and time again, a few times a month, especially in a time where we need that proof, that no matter what happens, our joy, trans joy, is going to defeat hate every time.
Got it.
Damn right.
It's been a while since you cried on the pod, Cody. I know.
I like skipped an episode.
We love
I love it.
We've had a couple of new families, and they'll come up to me and be like, "Okay, my kid's really shy, blah blah blah," and their kid shows up, and I'm like, "Wait, is that the shy kid you told me about?" Because they know their home. They know they're with their people, and so we're learning how to build community when we're young, and so I'm so glad that you guys found us, and that your kiddo has a space to be.
So exciting!
All right. Thank you for joining us.
This podcast is brought to you in partnership with Collective Tattoo and the Kalos Coalition. We are listener supported, so if you like the show, please consider donating to us on Patreon at patreon.com/talkingtransparency. Like, share, and subscribe across social media, and be sure to visit our Linktree at linktree.com/talkingtrans.